Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Just give us a minute. Abu Bakr is trying to log on, but he's just having a little bit of difficulty logging in, and then we will begin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. So today very much might be the second last lesson. Therefore, we shall be doing ayahs 260 through to 277 today. And then tomorrow, 278 to the end. So without further ado, we have with us our beloved, respected Qari Sahib, Sheikh Ashraf Ali. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, everyone?
Alhamdulillah, I am very good. I believe everyone else must be very, very good indeed, because we are honored by having you back. Do let Ustad know in the chat box. I'm sure that you're all very happy to have him back as well. Whenever you are ready, Sheikh, inshallah, it'd be lovely to hear you recite one more time.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, whenever you wish to begin.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قال إبراهيم رب أرني كيف تحيي الموتى قال أولم تؤمن قال بلى ولكن ليطمئن قلبي قال فخذ أربعة من الطير فصرهن إليك ثم اجعل على كل جبل منهن جزءا ثم ادعهن يأتينك سعيا واعلم أن الله عزيز حكيم. مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم. الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا أذى لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى كالذي ينفق ماله رئاء الناس ولا يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فمثله كمثل صفوان عليه تراب فأصابه وابل فتركه صلدا لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا والله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. ومثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم ابتغاء مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم كمثل جنة بربوة أصابها وابل فآتت أكلها ضعفين فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل والله بما تعملون بصير. أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه واعلموا أن الله غني حميد. الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعدكم مغفرة منه وفضلا والله واسع عليم. يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء ومن يؤت الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. وما أنفقتم من نفقة أو نذرتم من نذر فإن الله يعلمه وما للظالمين من أنصار. إن تبدوا الصدقات فنعما هي وإن تخفوها وتؤتوها الفقراء فهو خير لكم ويكفر عنكم من سيئاتكم والله بما تعملون خبير. ليس عليك هداهم ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء وما تنفقوا من خير فلأنفسكم وما تنفقون إلا ابتغاء وجه الله وما تنفقوا من خير يوفى إليكم وأنتم لا تظلمون للفقراء الذين أحصروا في سبيل الله لا يستطيعون ضربا في الأرض يحسبهم الجاهل أغنياء من التعفف تعرفهم بسيماهم لا يسألون الناس إلحافا وما تنفقوا من خير فإن الله به عليم الذين ينفقون أموالهم بالليل والنهار سرا وعلانية فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا فمن جاءه موعظة من ربه فانتهى فله ما سلف وأمره إلى الله ومن عاد فأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون يمحق الله الربا ويربي الصدقات والله لا يحب كل كفار أثيم إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وأقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون صدق الله.
Jazakallah khair for the lovely recitation as per usual. And my brothers and my sisters, I know we're at the end of Ramadan and you probably will not hear Sheikh Ashraf Ali's voice again, Qari Ashraf Ali himself. If anybody would like to study with him, he has not asked me to do this, it has just come to my mind. You know, his trade, his profession is teaching tajweed to people. If you would like to study with him, maybe inshallah, he can put his email address in the chat box, Sheikh. If you want to put your email address in the chat box, you can. And if anybody wants to, inshallah, maybe study with you, they can email you if you would like to put your email there. If not, that's absolutely fine as well.
Yes, sure, no problem, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
Well, yeah, the least we could do. And everyone, please do just say Jazakallah khair for Ustad coming out of his way. In Bangladesh, in Dhaka, it's 5 o'clock right now. And he has prayed Fajr, he has come online just for us. He didn't need to do this. So Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for coming.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Let's make a start. 260. Yes, I need to address the point from yesterday. We left on a question. A sister asked, what did the 4 birds mean when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replied to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam? Okay. So there's actually 2 different interpretations of this ayah, but I'm just going to go to the one, Jazakallah khair, which is that Ibrahim alayhi salam has had his argument with Nimrud, yes? he has argued with King Nimrod, and he has said to King Nimrod, Allah gives life and causes death. And King Nimrod argues his point as, I can do the very same thing. Look what's so special about that. I let someone live, I let someone die. I'm the same, I'm God. He says, no, Allah can actually return life. Now, Ibrahim alayhi salam has made an argument which he's very much posited strongly, but King Nimrod retorted in such a way that Ibrahim alayhi salam, through no negative intention, just wanted now, post-argumentation, just wanted a little bit of confirmation of this point that he had posited regarding Allah. So he asks Allah, can you show me just how I posit that you can bring life to the dead? Can you show me how you bring life to the dead? Because I've argued your case, Ya Allah. Well, not that we need to argue Allah's case. Allah doesn't need us, but Ibrahim alayhi salam has argued the case of Allah, yes? He just wants a little bit of confirmation, or rather sign, illustration of the process. Yeah, I need the process itself. So there's no negative intention here. That's the main premise. Working off of such a premise, we also have the second point. This is mainly for the sister who asked the question yesterday, that Ibrahim alayhi salam became Khalilullah. Yes, he was granted the title of Khalilullah, friend of Allah, by Allah, but through the medium of the angels. Now, as a sign, he also asked, can you just show me like what my powers are? Allah's given me powers, Allah's given me miracles. I would like to, by this new title I have, this new honorific, may I request that I can see the way in which Allah brings life to the dead. Does that make sense? So two varying opinions here, and you can even merge the two and work them together and not have a problem in the tafsir. We can take both tafsirs together, and there's no real kind of contradiction here. It could be either of the two reasons, but for that reason Allah talks about this ayah, or for one of those two, or for both of them at the same time. Does that make sense? I hope that's answered the question. If that has, please do let me know through the private message as you did yesterday, sister. Okie dokie. If that has not answered the question, I'll address it again at the end. Nonetheless, let's move on. 261. Oh, my clock. What? Speakers, micro. Oh no. Let me plug my microphone in. Okay. Now, am I clear, everybody? I hope I'm clearer now, inshallah. Let's move on to 261. So, what does Allah say here? One of my favorite ayahs. Just let me know if I'm clear, by the way. This is one of my favorite ayahs in Surah Baqarah. I love this ayah. I love just rattling it off and just saying it when I'm walking around the house. Do you ever get that, brothers and sisters, when you're just walking in life and you're saying ayahs? It's better than getting earworms of songs, I'll tell you that. But anyway, this is one of those ayahs that you just, once you know the meaning, wallahi, you're always going to be saying it. We talk about charity all the time, yes? We're always talking about how beautiful charity is, how it's going to come back to you. This is one of the most clear manifestations of that return. Sheikh Ashraf, if you want to, you can put your email address in the chat. I don't think I have it. But if you want to, if you don't want to, that's fine. I'm just letting you know.
Do you want me to recite this again?
No, sorry. I'm just saying, if you want to put your email address in the chat box, you can. If you want anyone to email you.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
But that's your choice. I'm just letting you know, inshallah. Okay, this is one of those beautiful ayahs. Let's talk about it. مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله. Anyone who gives in the path of Allah في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت سبع سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة. It's as though a grain of corn is coming and is being represented by your little donation. From that, 7 years. From each ear, 100 grains. So from your little seedling, my brothers and my sisters, from your little seedling, it's going to flourish and flourish and flourish. Allah uses the number 7. This is an important point, I suppose. Allah uses the number 7, 70, and 700 multiple times in the Quran. The scholars mention when Allah uses these, the concept of 7, not even just in Arabian culture, not even just in Arabic, but throughout history, 7 has been a conceptualization of mass. It doesn't actually necessarily mean 7, 70, or 700. It just means so much. You don't restrict it to the number 7, 7, or 70, or 700. This number itself is just a sign of so much
You give a little bit. You cannot quantify how much is going to come back to you. Wallahi, when you give charity, my brothers and my sisters, Allah can give it back to you 700 times more than you gave in the first place, but you won't know how. You might give £5 as a donation in 2005, okay? Because of that, in 2006, Allah will give you a new job. After going through a tough time, I guarantee you that part as well. But Allah is going to give you a new job where you're going to earn £10,000 more than you ever did before. In 2010, you're going to get another new job that you don't know how it even managed to fall into your lap, okay? But now you're earning £20,000 more than you ever did before. And like this, your £5, you don't necessarily quantify it to come back as 700 times more, but it's just the idea of so much more is going to come back to you when you're not the one dictating the amount that is due to return. Allah is just wanting to give and give and give. Why? Just because you gave such a little bit. And that's the beauty of Allah. That's the mercy of our Allah. It's His money in the first place. How can we forget that? It's His money in the first place. It's a loan to us. Allah's loaned it to us. Can we not give a little bit fi sabilillah in the way of Allah? It's going to come back to you so much more. We're just going to touch on 262. الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا أذى. Anyone who spends in the path of Allah, do not spend this money in the path of Allah and remind people of what you've done. You know, sometimes when someone's annoying you, you just give them a little reminder, don't you? How can you do this to me? Don't you remember a year ago when I did that favor for you? How can you be like this? Don't you remember 2 years ago when we did such and such together? How can this person be so harsh to me? Do they not remember I treated them to a 50p Dixie 5 months ago? This is, honestly, I know it sounds, but wallahi, this is how we think. And you tell yourself that you don't remember all of the things you've done for others, as though we are great philanthropists. My brothers and my sisters, this is the disease of the heart. Clear, cut, and simple. Always remembering what the little things that we've done for others. Always remembering, I did this favor, I did that favor, I bought them this, I bought them that. If that's going to be the case, stop. If that's the case, stop your charity. If your charity is going to plague you and disease you, my brothers and my sisters, your charity isn't needed. You don't give charity so that you have one over on another person. You don't give charity, you don't help someone out in a tough time so that you can bring it back and spit it in their face later on. My brothers and my sisters, you give in such a way that you don't even remember you giving. When you give to that beggar doesn't want to be there. Whether they're genuine, whether they're not genuine, whether they are addicted to something, not addicted to something, they don't want to be there. Who wants to beg? I don't care who you give it to. When someone asks you for something and you're genuinely going to give it to them, you give it in a kind, loving way, and you forget you even gave. Simple as that. Because otherwise, what happens? You are following your spending with hurtful words. If someone asks you for money and you cannot give, still approach them with a smile. Still give them kind words. Don't be hurtful. And if you do give, don't insult, belittle, or laugh, or mock, or joke, especially the beggars. This is a massive problem we have. People treat the beggars that are genuine beggars, oftentimes, even if they're not, no, that's not the point. People who ask for money, we treat them like they're scum, the scum of the earth. How do you know they're not going to go to Jannah and we're going to burn? Answer me that. We're laughing at them. We're happy to, joke with them in more of a mocking way than we would others. Laugh, tease, whatever, look down upon, frown, whatever. How do we know they're not going to go straight to Jannah, and us, because of that little bit of arrogance we have in our hearts, are not going to the fire? The Prophet ﷺ mentions the prostitute woman who goes to Jannah for feeding water to a dog. Sincere, pure act, even though she's done so much wrong in the eyes of Islam. Prostitution is haram, one of the greatest sins there is. But because of her sincerity and lack of arrogance and humility, humbleness and modesty, and ironically speaking, that is a form of modesty, is it not? To humble yourself, to put yourself on that, to go down and give water to a dog with your own shoe. Why? just because you care about the animal. She went to Jannah because of that. Us, walking, talking as though we're the greatest Muslims on earth, and we laugh at the beggars. And we tease and make fun of those lower than us in society. What right do we have? Allah says, instead of talking like that to beggars, a kind word, قَوْلٌ مَعْرُوفٌ وَمَغْفِرَةٌ, and a forgiving word is خَيْرٌ مِنْ صَدَقَةٍ يَتْبَعُهَا أَذًى وَاللَّهُ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. Is so much better than you doing something in charity, thinking you're so high and mighty, and then following up with a hurtful word. Allah knows, my brothers and my sisters. Allah is Ghani. You know the word Ghani comes from meaning self-sufficient, yes, but also to be rich. It can also mean to be rich. Self-sufficiency, richness, right? You don't need others, right? Allah is the one who gave this. Allah can give you so much more money. Allah can give that beggar 1,000,000 times more than what you have. Why are you giving them £5 and feeling as though you have the right to be hurtful in any way, shape, or form? Your money came from Allah. Their money comes from Allah. Allah is Ghani, not you. Allah is the rich one, not you. My brothers and my sisters, when we can internalize, remember, and act on this, our charity will be completely different. Worlds apart, our charity will become. You know, it's not about giving a lot, by the way. I really want to mention this. You know, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentions doing small actions frequently. Famous hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. أحب الأعمال إلى الله أدومها وإن قل. The most beloved actions to Allah, you can write it down if you wish. It's the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. The most beloved actions of Allah أدومها وإن قل are those done regularly, even if they are little. أقل. It doesn't matter if you do so every time someone asks you for money, you give them £1. But you give them that £1. Whenever someone comes to you, give a little bit. You know, human appeal. I don't know how, but they call me about 70 million times this Ramadan alone, right? I'm not rich, okay? And forget me, this isn't about me. This is just a reminder for us all. But whenever they call, just because of I know what the Prophet ﷺ was like, just because I know he never had a beggar, just because I know whenever someone asked him, whether he knew they were sincere or not, he would give something small. He wouldn't even give anything less than whatever he could give. No matter who calls me up, whether it's human appeal or whoever else, whether it's whatever it is, just try to give something small each time. Something small, that's all. But keep it consistent. Do you think you praying, and this hadith is greater than that? You know, charity is large, charity is broad, right? But take your own. What's better? You praying 40 rak'ahs of Taraweeh every single day in Ramadan, or you praying the same 2 units of nafal for the whole year. My brothers and my sisters, it's not about doing a big act. That's buzz. That's a buzz, that is. It's fine. You can have these buzzes, no problem. Good. Sometimes they're a stimulus, they're a catalyst for something much greater and for you to start doing small, consistent actions. But wallahi, it's about the small, consistent actions. Pray those 2 sunnah all the time. Don't leave them. Go see your mom. Go call your mom every single day. Don't leave that. Buy that gift for your father every so often, or whatever it is that he likes. Smile to your brother, your real brother. Forget your... First, let's sort out our real families first, yes? When was the last time we smiled to our brothers and and our real sisters? We're preaching about being nice to our brothers and sisters in Islam. Okay, great. What about your blood brothers and sisters? They don't deserve a smile. Do something small. Do small actions, but do them a lot. Do them regularly, rather than doing such a big thing and feeling as though we are now high and mighty. Okay, let's move on to 267. 267 now. Okay. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم. All you the ones who believe, give charitably from all the طيبات, the pure things that you have acquired, and we have given you in the earth. Do not give from the bad things that you wouldn't even take it yourself. You know, when you give, and by the way, all of these ayahs are about charity today. So You know, if that isn't your cup of tea, then just know that Allah makes this an integral part of Surah Baqarah. I'm not here to talk about charity and give you a fundraiser at the end. Okay, I'm not here to say give to this cause, give to that cause, because this isn't about the cause. Allah doesn't talk about charity to say you should give it to Yemen now, you should give it to Human Appeal now, you should give it to XYZ now. Allah talks about charity just for the sake of talking about charity. Allah talks about you giving just for the mentality that we need to change about the concept of giving itself. You see, most of the times when we talk about charity, and this is so important, please listen carefully. Most of the times we talk about charity, it's to make someone give something at the end of our lecture. Yes or no? Most of the time you hear about charity, it's a hadith, two hadith, beautiful words. And then they're asking for something. I'm not going to ask you today, my brothers and my sisters, because Allah isn't saying give to XYZ. Allah just wants your mentality to change. So approach it with the correct mindset. You know, no one's going to take your money from you. If you don't want to give anything at the end of tonight, don't give anything. But just let your heart take in the messages of Allah as far as the concept itself of charity is concerned. So our mentality is to do with giving changes. What does Allah say about charity? Don't give your charity in such a way that you wouldn't even take that yourself. Why are you giving dirty rags away for? Why is it the only, well, I'm not saying like there's a time and place to kind of recycle and give away things that you don't use anymore. I understand that premise, right? But why is it that the only charity we give, wallahi, why is it, my brothers and my sisters, please tell me, because we're done here, like 24 hours and this is over, okay? Why is it that every time we give charity, it's something that we wouldn't accept ourselves that we're giving away? When was the last time we gave something that we would have loved to receive? And I genuinely don't think I need to say anything more than that. I just wanted to touch upon it. Look, Allah talks about it here. You wouldn't even accept it with your eyes closed, brothers and my sisters. Why are we giving like this? Be proud of what you've given. Not proud, not that type of pride is an arrogance, but be happy. Like, be happy with what you give. Don't give it like this ayah talks about, something you wouldn't even accept yourself. 268. You know, and this is the most salient point of today. Why do we not give? At the end of the day, we get these iman boosts sometimes, don't we? We hear about charity a bit, and then we think, you know what, alhamdulillah, Allah's given me a lot, I'm going to give now. But then something comes again in your mind and stops you. This ayah tells you why. This ayah is all, it is everything, it encapsulates it. Look, shaitan threatens you with what? Oh no, you're going to get poor. Shaitan tells you, I have £8,000 saved up. If I give £200, I'm going to become poor. £200 is so much. I mean, technically, it's a quantity. It is an amount of money that some people might consider a lot. But my brothers and my sisters, Allah has given you £8,000. My brothers and my sisters, Allah has given you £1,000. Even if £500 to your name, think about how much you still have. Abu Bakr radiallahu anh gave everything, literally everything except his clothes and a few things for his wife and kids. He gave everything in the path of Allah when he was just asked to give charity. Umar radiallahu anh gave half of his own, his earnings, his livelihood, his everything he had in the house, half of it straight. He just gave it when he was just asked to give something in the path of Allah. We're giving 2%, 3% of everything that we have, my brothers and my sisters. And we're scared we're going to go into poverty. This is a message to myself, first and foremost. Wallahi, it is. I understand we're all in this together, but my brothers and my sisters, don't let that be the reason you stop. You still have so much. Allah is going to give you much more. We need to change the way we think about charity, because shaitan is telling us we're going to go to poverty, we're going to go into poverty, we're going to go into poverty. When was the last time we flipped it on his head and thought to ourselves, I'm still so much more well off than everyone else in the world? Think about all the people in Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Yemen. Think about them. The man who I was reading about him, his name isn't coming to my mind right now, but you can find it if you look at it because he was on a famous news article. He worked for 17 years, working 21 hours a day. 21 hours, imagine that. He was working 21-hour shifts sometimes a bit less. But regardless, imagine working for such an amount of time every single day, just pedaling your rickshaw. Some days even 21 hours, very little sleep, just to save up. And it took him so many years just to save up enough money to go to Hajj for him and his wife. He was earning, I think it was approximately 80p a day, working sometimes 16 to 21 hours every single day. Bangladesh, this is real. Just to save up enough money to go to Hajj. Just to work 80 hours a week, right? Even if you make £5, £6, £7 an hour, you're going to Hajj that very year. I'm telling you now. Forget that. If you work 40 hours a week, you're going to Hajj very, very soon. He worked for 2 decades, making peanuts, just for him to go to Hajj with him and his wife. We have everything. Wallahi, we do. We have so much. How are we going to say, no, I'm going to become poor? What right do we have to say we're going to become poor? And if you're in a tough financial situation, I understand that's absolutely fine. That's between you and your Lord. You give what you can, but don't play the poverty game. Don't play the poverty card when you know you still have a lot more than, you'd be happy to tell others in regards to what Allah has still given us. So please, my brothers and my sisters, don't let shaitan mess with you. Don't let his threat of poverty creep into your ears. We're nearly done now. We're just going to talk about two or three ayahs now. Let's move on to 270. Let's move on to 271. This actually, I think is quite important. Sometimes you can give charity openly. Good, great, it motivates the people. Do it. Sometimes do that. But also be happy to give it secretly as well. And again, this isn't just about charity, my brothers and my sisters. Read Quran in front of your family, right? Pray in front of your family sometimes, but also pray behind closed doors. Read Quran in front of your brothers, sisters, mom, dad, spouse, whatever, sometimes, but make sure, by Allah, make sure you also do behind closed doors. In fact, set time aside just to do things behind closed doors. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is your intention is going to be very unclear, I'm telling you now. When are you doing it for the people? When are you doing it because it becomes the norm? People are just seeing you do it. I can't stop now. And when are you doing it for Allah? It's the things you do behind closed doors that tell us the most about our character. Not what you do in front of others. You see, when you do things in front of others, your intention should be, I'm here to motivate the people. I'm here to motivate someone else to maybe pray something or feel as though, now's the time to pray. Now I should do some Quran as well. That's a good sign. Not for any other reason. But when you do behind closed doors, now it's you and Allah. Now it is you and Allah, and no one else is involved. There is a famous madrasa. I'm not going to name any names. I'm not even going to say who he is because I know he would have wanted to be named. There's a famous madrasa, and one day the headmaster, is a boarding madrasa, and he wasn't in this country, but nonetheless, just listen to the story, my brothers and my sisters. It's so, just you tell me what you think, right? The headmaster passes away, the Grand Mufti passes away, the Shaykh al-Haadee passes away, Suddenly the toilets start becoming dirty. Suddenly the toilets of the madrasa, of the Islamic school, start to become dirty. At that point, they realized, you know what? Our janitor did not used to work in the nights. Our janitor was not working in the nights. This man who was teaching hadith in the day, the most difficult of the Islamic sciences, who was able to give fatwas and had the most Islamic knowledge amongst all of the people, decades of knowledge, wisdom, and you name it, the Grand Mufti of the madrasa, when he passed away, they realized he was the one at nights going to the toilets where the students were defecating and urinating and cleaning it with his own bare hands. And only upon his passing did they realize what they'd lost. A man who wouldn't do anything except for the pleasure of Allah, behind closed doors where no one else would know. My brothers and my sisters, keep some things private. Keep some things private. You know, and I'll finish with this. On this, that is, you know, the scholars, they sometimes used to pray. They sometimes used to read Quran, right, in front of their family. But at another time, when their wives would walk in, their spouse would walk in, they'd quickly shut the Quran and put it out. Why? Because they didn't want to be looked at as something special. Now, our times are very different, right? If our wives don't see us read the Quran, they're probably going to think we never read the Quran because, you know, we're not the same, right? But just think about that for a second. Think about that level of humility. Okay. Yes, the example, a man who would take lunch from his wife every single day. That was the student of Imam Abu Hanifa, who also taught Imam Abu Yusuf. I think his name was Ata, if I remember correctly. And he was an introvert, so there isn't much. He didn't write books or anything like this, but he was like the most knowledgeable student of Imam Abu Hanifa, the person you're talking about in the comments. Jazakallah khair, very good mention as well. Let's move on to 272. We're not actually finished the session. We have a tiny bit left. Sorry to, you know, I didn't mean to say that we're finished, but inshallah, soon, we're nearly finished. So 272 now. ليس عليك الهدى ليس عليك هداهم ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. The Prophet ﷺ being told, it's not upon you to guide the people. You do what you can, but you cannot make someone come to the haqq. You cannot make someone come to Islam, but you give the message. وما تنفقوا من خير فلأنفسكم. Okay, then Allah says, whatever charity you give is for your own self, for your own soul, provided you do it for Allah. And again, you're going to be paid in full. What has happened here? This is really interesting because it's now going to we're going to touch upon something that people don't really realize. Okay, what has happened? I'll tell you what's happened first. The Prophet ﷺ was with Asma bint Abu Bakr, the daughter of Abu Bakr, radiallahu anhu. And the mother of Asma comes, and she was a pagan. And the grandmother comes, and she was still a pagan. They hadn't come to Islam, right? So they ask their daughter and their granddaughter for help. And Asma says, I have to ask the Prophet ﷺ. I can't just give you, okay? I need to know. I don't want to give because essentially you're not Muslims, and I feel like I should ask the Prophet ﷺ. Prophet ﷺ, upon hearing this, says, no, you give charity, even if they're not Muslim. Okay, if they need it, you help your family, Muslim or not. If someone needs something, he tells her. The Sahaba, similar thing happened with them. The Sahaba had relations, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, when they came to Islam, they still had relationships with others in the community, their sphere, right? So they would be connected to the Jews, for example, through suckling, you know, for example, through Rida, like we mentioned before. If myself and another Jew shared a wet nurse who breastfed us both when we were young, we would now be brothers through breastfeeding, through suckling. So now the Sahaba had different relations, pagan and Jews, who were not in the fold of Islam yet, but they were not giving them sadaqah. They were not giving them charity. The Prophet ﷺ said, no, you give them as well. You still give them as well. Okay? Whether they come to Islam or not, whether they are guided or not, that's between them and Allah. You do your best, but you still give. Okay? And that's what this ayah talks about. I want to talk about 273 because it's so important for students. It's so important for students. Look at this. للفقراء الذين أحصروا في سبيل الله لا يستطيعون ضربا في الأرض. Okay. Give to who? Who should you give to? Give to the people who are in the path of Allah. They cannot travel. Give to the people who, even though people consider them rich, right? Because they don't show to the people I'm poor. Everyone thinks that they're rich. Give to these people as well. My brothers and my sisters, a lot of people won't ever show you that they're poor. A lot of people have too much self-respect, right, to ask for money. These are the people you go looking for. There are people out there, and wallahi, they exist, who will not take a penny from you even if they're dying inside. They're the people you help. They're the people you go looking for. They make your life's work to find such people in the path of Allah who won't ever ask, right? But wallahi, they need it. There are people like this. And this connects now. It connects now to whom? Who does this connect to? Students. There are students out there that study at Islamic madrasas to become Islamic scholars, or even in other higher institutes of education, Islamic or not, who genuinely, they're trying to stick to the path of Allah. They're trying so hard to not fall into usury. They're not trying to fall into interest. They're not going through loans. They're not going through this. They're not going through that. Just to stay as much as they can and adhere to the path of Allah. They need our help too. I know so many people, right, who have not entered a world of interest because they didn't want to go down that path. And financially, they're working so hard, and they're students. They're students who are trying to gain knowledge of Allah, trying to gain knowledge of Islam to help the communities out there. If they're not the ones who deserve our monetary aid, who is? Right? And this is there really is a new group that has been created in the 21st century. We haven't seen the likes of this before. So many students are suffering out there, but they won't take a penny. And they definitely won't be going to a bank because they don't feel as though that's something that they want to go through. And honestly, your heart goes out to these people. Your heart goes out to people like this. So look for whoever you think can use the most help, okay? This ayah is all-encompassing, my brothers and my sisters, and look to see who you can help the most. We're nearly done now. We're actually done with 277. So what did we talk about on the first day of Surah Baqarah Tafsir? This is how you know we're at the end. The end always comes back to the beginning. It's really quite beautiful. It's cyclical, isn't it? I told you all on the first day that we started this beautiful journey that every time Allah mentions Salah, Zakat comes. Every time Allah mentions Zakat, Salah comes. And it is back. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتَوُا الزَّكَاةَ لَهُمْ أَجْرُهُمْ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Don't just pray. Give you zakat. You don't just give you zakat. You still pray 5 times a day. Zakat is a once in a year thing. The salah is a daily, multiple times a day thing. If you can do these two, the scholars say, the others will be fine. You will be. You name me someone who gives their zakat and who prays and finds it difficult to fast. Name me someone who does these two diligently and they can't go to Hajj eventually. Right? Allah will bring everything to you, my brothers and my sisters, so long as you work hard to just keep these two up. Okay? Now, we are essentially at the end. I actually wanted to summarize today's class with some action plans because it's a longer class than usual. 4 points just to summarize today's lesson. And tomorrow we're done. Tomorrow we're finishing. Number 1, Shaitan, my brothers and my sisters, will always tell you charity equals poverty. Yes or no? You've heard it in your mind. The little voice inside your head, right? You've heard it, I've heard it, we've all heard it. Don't let that voice get to you. Charity is not poverty, you still have so much. And it's all from Allah in the first place. Whenever you get that little voice inside your head, do the opposite of what it's telling you to do. Give more, give £5 more, give £10 more, right? And watch. That voice will have no choice but to start running away and you won't hear it anymore, okay? Your charity does not equal poverty. في كل سنبلة مئة حبة. You give and Allah is going to give you 700 times back minimum, right? You can actually quantify how much Allah is going to give you back. So just give. Do not be scared of charity. That's from Shaitan. Number 2, don't expect your charity to guide people. You can't expect me giving charity is going to guide others, is it? Look, 272 tells us this. Your charity isn't going to guide anyone or bring anyone to Islam, but still you give. You give for the sake of giving because Allah sees what you give. Allah is going to pay you back in full. Number 3, a personal point, and I suppose something that others share as well. Give to the poor students out there. Find those students who need financial aid, my brothers and my sisters. Give to them. They're a new group that have come around in the 21st century, and they're a suffering group, but they have too much self-respect to ask. And lastly, something we spoke about in the middle, but I think is a good point to end on. Spend openly at times to motivate others. You give. When I heard my uncle, my nephews came to me, right? My nephews came to me and said, how much are you going to give us for help keep our masjid open, right? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to give them 50p. No, I'm joking. I thought to myself, I'm going to give them a decent amount of money. And then they said to me, oh, because Dadabai, the other Dadabai, gave us, which is a Bengali term for one of our grandfathers, who's my uncle, by the way. They said the other Dadabai gave us £50 Now I thought to myself, forget what I originally thought. I'm going to beat that. I want to give more than that. I can't, you know. Alhamdulillah, I'm earning a decent amount, right? Allah's giving me money. How can I be just giving a little bit what I thought originally? I'll match that at least, right? Look, do you know when you can give higher amounts, my brothers and my sisters, everyone around you will be affected because of you. In a good way, in a good way. So sometimes spend openly to motivate others, but also have your times for secret worship, financial and non-financial worship. There are times when you want to give in secret and you know then your sincerity is there. There are times you want to pray behind closed doors because that's when you know it's between you and Allah and you're not doing it for anyone else and it's not for show. There are times when you read Quran and no one else is allowed to see you because now you know what your intention is for. With that, we will end. Subhanaka rabbana rabbil izzati amma yasifuna wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Okay, just going to have a quick look at the questions. Jazakallah khair for answering. I really appreciate my questions. Asking about the four birds analogy mentioned in Allah's reply. I'm not sure if you answered it. The recording will go up on Facebook, inshallah. If it still isn't answered, I'll come back to it. The four birds analogy was because the Prophet, Ibrahim alayhi salam, wanted to see how life comes back, right? So Allah says, take four birds, chop them up into different sections, put different sections on different mountains, and then Allah brings them together again. Allah brings all the birds together again. This was Allah's choice. He wanted to use birds, but Allah could have used any animal, but Allah wanted to use birds, I suppose maybe because it's more impressive than flying together and everything like this. So with that being said, I hope that answers the question, inshallah. Yes, sorry. So the Facebook page is the UB ISAC Facebook page. So yeah, I guess just write UB ISAC Facebook and it'll be there, right? As for my own personal page, I don't. If you just write my name on YouTube, I've created a new YouTube channel. Well, my first YouTube channel, because after this is over, some people have asked me to do one or two other things. I'll probably have to go through that medium because I'm nearly finished with university, so I might not be doing that much through UB ISAC anymore, but inshallah, I do still plan on it. Nonetheless, inshallah, you find me on that if you want any updates or anything on anything future we might do. Tomorrow is the last day, my brothers and my sisters, and it's a sad reality, but it is at an end. We make dua and we ask Allah to accept our fasts. I make dua that Allah accepts all of your sincere watching of each episode of these tafsir series, that you've done it just to understand His word more and nothing else, just so that your salahs change, just so that our mentalities change. And I make dua, my brothers and my sisters, that we can all meet again in Jannah. Even though we have tomorrow left, tomorrow's going to, inshallah, have a bit more of finale to it. But if we don't, who knows if we're alive tomorrow, right? If we don't meet again and Jannah, and Ramadan is at an end, and I make dua that all of you have beautiful lives and meet again in Jannah. We can all have more tafsir classes in Jannah together. That would be fun, right? Subhanaka rabbana rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.